Hey everyone, we're here at the Bay Area Open, round 4. These two gentlemen have kindly allowed me to film their game. They're both undefeated. Right now we have Brian. Here's Jack. I'm doing my best not to disturb them so they can get on their game. I know they're on a time limit. High Elves versus Vampire Counts. We are playing Command and Control. That giant tower there is the objective for Command and Control. We'll be right back in a second with deployment and army lists. Deployment for the High Elves. Over here we have a unit of Illyrian Reavers. There's a Sky Cutter over there. Next up, unit of Standard Elven Archers. Right there is a unit of Lothern Sea Guard. Over here we have a unit of White Lions of Trace, a Wizard on a Dragon, Swordmasters, and a Prince on a Dragon. For the Vampire Counts, we have lots of dogs, multiple units of dogs across the board. That there's a unit of Blood Knights. This is a Vampire Count on a Dragon, I believe level 2 Wizard. These are Black Knights. That is a Necromancer, level 4 on a Mortis Engine, and a Vargulf. And over there, just 2 more units of dogs. First off, we have some Vanguard moves. So the Wolves moved up over there. The Wolves moved up there. And on the far side of the board, both of those Wolf units moved up a little bit. For the High Elf strategy phase, Courage of Venerian was successfully cast on the White Lions, and Shield of Sapphire was successfully cast on the Lothern Sea Guard. Remaining moves for the High Elves, there were no charges. Illyrian Reavers have moved up right there. Sky Cutter moved forward. Archers, I think it just rotated ever so slightly. Excuse me. The Prince on the Dragon moved forward there. And he also cast Walk Between Worlds on the Prince, so he is ethereal. Just a couple more moves. These White Lions did decide to move forward a bit, and the Wizard on a Dragon also moved forward. Shooting phase. So he attempted to cast Tempest, but it was dispelled. Shot quite a bit at those dogs. The Sky Cutter unleashed pretty much everything it had, did nothing, as did the Archers. And these Reavers with bows managed to kill 1 direwolf. Strategy phase for the Vampire Counts. So the Zombie Dragon now has Dance Macabre and Glittering Robe, and he successfully cast Miasmic Mirage on the Wizard riding a dragon, so the Wizard cannot charge. Over here, the Direwolves successfully charged the Illyrian Reavers. The Illyrian Reavers elected to stand and shoot and killed 1 direwolf on the way in. So the Zombie Dragon has actually successfully charged the Prince on a Dragon. He was able to get a movement buff, +2 from Dance Macabre, and +1 from Mortis Engine. So even though there was a carefully measured 18 inches here, that spell was able to push him over the edge, and he rolled well enough to make it. Phase. We have the Black Knights moving up. The Direwolves are now facing that direction.
4 save.
Sorry, these are Blood Knights. Black Knights have moved up.
And 3 wounds for 4 wounds.
Just
4's all prop.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to shoot it with the Ruby Ring of Ruin.
So for the shooting phase, the Ruby Ring of Ruin attempted to cast, but was dispelled by the Wizard. And those Direwolves took a reserve move, and they are 1 inch clear of that other unit at the end of their move. We have this combat here between the Direwolves and the Reavers. The Direwolves killed 1 Reaver. The Reavers killed 2 Direwolves, and the final one crumbled. And the Illyrian Reavers have elected to overrun. And here is where the Reavers ended up with their overrun move at the end of the combat. Dragon on dragon combat here. So the Vampire Count was actually able to successfully cast Spectral Doppelganger with a great weapon, giving him 7 extra attacks, and he did 7 wounds to the dragon. The Prince, in return, was only able to do 1. In addition, there were multiple regen saves made, so the Vampire Count won combat by a lot. The Prince rolled an 11 on the break test, so he is fleeing. He's actually fleeing. Thankfully, these spearmen and the White Lion, not White Lions, Lothern Sea Guard and the Swordmasters were able to block him from completely running him down and killing him, but he will have to rally at the start of the next turn. So the strategy phase for the High Elves. He successfully cast Fury of Cain over here on the White Lions. However, Courage of Venerian and Shield of Safri were both dispelled, and his Prince has rallied. So charge moves here. The Sky Cutter has successfully charged the Vargulf over there behind the tower. Then over here, that wizard on the dragon was unfortunately not able to charge because it's still under the effects of Miasma Mirage. And the White Lions charged in here on the Direwolves. It was very short, no roll necessary. So for the remaining moves phase, this Prince has decided to hop over the unit here and pivot, or with the Lumbering Rule, so that it can hopefully charge it next turn, as long as that dragon's still there. He also attempted to cast Walk Between Worlds, but got dispelled, amazingly. So instead, he has hopped over those Black Knights for safety, so he can't get charged over there. Shooting phase, the only thing of note is that those dogs that used to be there are no longer there. They got pin-cushioned. Here's the fight between the Sky Cutter and the Vargulf. Got the impact hits. Sky Cutter actually won combat by 2, but thanks to the BSB, it granted Indomitable D3, which ended up being a 3, so he's totally fine. Just gives ground. The Sky Cutter attempted to restrain, rolled an 11, and failed, so they followed up right back in on the Vargulf. So we've got the Vampire count on the Zombie Dragon against the Sword Masters and the Lothran Seaguard. What happened was they challenged him with a unit champion, and as expected, the Zombie Dragon absolutely murdered him with maximum overkill. So that's 6 combat res plus close order. But they had a lot of static res just in these units between the 2 close order and stuff. So he actually only lost combat by 1, passed both his tests, and is just giving ground. So the Vampire count on the dragon has elected to restrain and passed his test. And the White Lions just absolutely murdered those Direwolves and ran off the board. So they'll be back. Strategy phase for the Vampire counts. So he attempted to cast Glittering Robe on himself, and it was dispelled. And he attempted to cast Battle Lust on the Black Knights. That was also dispelled, but Dance Macabre did go off, so they have a boost to movement and initiative, I believe. The Zombie Dragon charged in on the Lothran Seaguard and the Swordmasters with a double charge. The Lothran Seaguard stood and shot, and did not do any damage. Then they used their Naval Discipline to take a redress the ranks to rank up a bit more. And obviously that's an auto charge, no roll necessary. For the Black Knights, they attempted to charge the Prince on the Dragon here. Rolled an 8 on their charge and their Swift Stride. However, they hit the terrain, and it was actually, they're just a teeny bit too wide to fit through that gap cleanly, so that actually ended up being a failed charge, and that is where they ended up. So in the movement phase, those wolves moved farther away down the back there. And then these Blood Knights used Drilled to redress into a marching column, and then moved very, very far down here, right behind the dragon. So for the shooting phase, not a whole lot going on. Mortis Engine is out of Wailing Dirge range, and a couple reserve moves in the backfield. No real big changes, though. This combat went down almost exactly the same as last turn. The other unit's unit champion issued a challenge, was maximum overkilled, 1 combat by 1. Unfortunately, the leadership test did not go as well for the High Elves this time, so the Swordmasters actually broke and fled, and the Sea Guard fell back in good order. So Swordmasters were caught by the dragon. The dragon passed its restraint text, and is facing that way now. Combat here between the Vargulf and the Sky Cutter was a tie. Complete tie, so they're just going to roll it back next turn. Strategy phase for the High Elves. The only thing that happened, he attempted to cast Fury of Cain, and it was dispelled. High Elf charge moves. So the Prince on the Dragon managed to get the charge off straight into the Mortis Engine, and the Wizard over here went into the side of the Black Knights. Remaining move space for the High Elves. So the White Lions came back on the board here, and hilariously, they're running alongside the Blood Knights, both trying to get back into the battle. They're right next to each other. And then, excuse me, over here, the Illyrian Reavers also are running in to try to affect the battle, and these archers have elected to march move forward as far as they can off the hill. combat between the Sky Cutter and the Vargulf. The Vargulf actually was able to win this round, finished off the Sky Cutter. Although hilariously, because the Vargulf lost a round of combat earlier, he didn't have Frenzy, so he was able to restrain, which is very uncommon for a Gargulf. So there's a very restrained Vargulf sitting right there. Prince on the Dragon versus the Mortis Engine. Rolled pretty hot. You know, the Mortis Engine had to hit on 5s because of the weapon skill differential. And he actually was able to do 5 wounds, and then he got 3 wounds of crumble. So he just barely actually completely killed the Mortis Engine. He's elected to restrain and reform, and is now facing that way. We've got the Wizard on the Dragon versus the Black Knights. So the Black Knight Unit Champion challenged the Dragon. The did no damage. The Dragon got maximum overkill and won combat by 5. They rolled a 3 on their D3 Indomitable from the BSB and crumbled 2, so you see 2 extra knights are disappeared there. And they gave ground. And it appears that the Dragon has elected to follow up. All right, so for the Necromancer going down, we just did checked to make sure everything had Indomitable sufficiently to avoid crumbling or pass their test. That's all resolved now. We're now into the strategy phase of the Vampire Counts. And really the only thing he did is he tried to cast Glittering Robe. He no longer has the benefit of the Mortis Engine, and it did not go off. All right, the Vargulf charged into the Reavers over here. The Reavers elected to fire and flee, which with their Swift Stride, you'd think that they would actually probably be safe, but they actually didn't hurt him with the fire and flee, and the Vargulf caught them, so the Reavers are down. All right, we had a very interesting charge here. So the Vampire on the Dragon wanted to charge those archers back there to go both wipe them out and take the command and control objective. The archers fled to make it more difficult. However, when he charged, he actually couldn't complete his wheel, so he clipped into the Sea Guard there, and we consulted a lot of rulebooks with the help of the TO and determined that that is accidental contact during a charge, which puts the dragon on the corner there. So the dragon is now kind of on the corner of the Sea Guard, and that's that. Remaining moves for the vampires. Wolves moved up back behind, and they took a giant column march triple move way over there towards the tower for the Blood Knights. All right, combat here. So you can see there were 6 dead Sea Guard from the dragon. They didn't do any wounds back, I don't believe. And, yep, and they failed their leadership test, and the dragon caught them. So Sea Guard are dead. All right, so we've got the Black Knights against the Dragon. The Dragon was able to win combat here by 2, killing... That was your BSB there, or your unit champion?
It's a BSB.
BSB. The BSB is dead now. And because the BSB is gone, they no longer have the Indomitable, so they took 2 crumbles. So for charge moves, his Prince on a Dragon charged into the side of the Blood Knights. Short charge, no roll necessary there. On his move phase, the lines of trace moved up a bit through the difficult terrain, and his archers went into the tower. All right, got some combat here. So the dragon really did a ton of damage to the Blood Knights. Managed to take out 3 of them, and then 2 more crumbled at the end. So there's just 1 Blood Knight left. The Wizard on the Dragon was able to completely wipe out the rest of the Black Knights and successfully passed its reform test. So there it is, restrained and reformed. So this dragon here declared a charge into the White Lions. They fled, so he chose to redirect his charge. Whoops. And he is attempting to charge all the way against the tower. We've got to resolve that. The redirect attempt was unsuccessful. The dragon was not able to maneuver all the way up to the battlements of the tower, so failed charge, and it ends up right there. Then for this combat, the Vargulf charged into the tower and got finished off by the archers. So the archers are continuing to hold the tower for now. Combat phase, we did the Prince on the Dragon against that final Blood Knight there, and he wiped him out and failed his restraint check, so he overran straight into the dragon. We're going to have dragon on dragon now. Strategy phase for the High Elves. The White Lions of Chase have successfully rallied. For the Conjuration phase of the High Elves successfully cast Fury of Cain and Courage of Anarian on the Prince. High Elf charges. The Wizard on a Dragon successfully charged into the flank of the Vampire on a Dragon. All right, so the Vampire on the Dragon managed to get Spectral Doppelganger off with its great weapon, roll an 11, and had some really hot rolling, some really bad armor saves. Was actually able to finish off all 6 wounds of that Prince on a Dragon. The Wizard, it was a challenge, by the way, so the Wizard couldn't be involved at all. The Wizard fell back in good order, and the Dragon pursued. All right, and here's the final combat. We're just zooming through these turns. So the dragon's facing the wrong way, but they're fighting. The he was actually able to finish off the vampire dragon in another one-on-one dragon fight here. So the wizard stands alone. The archers control the tower, and there's some white lions over there. So this is actually going to turn into a high elf victory. Insane game.